This is the solution for number 9 in the target 3 and 4 homework, page 236. Classify triangle ABC by its sides and determine whether or not it is a right triangle. So all the points are plotted and the triangle is drawn. And I could use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of each side. But one of the things we did in a previous unit on transformations, when we counted reflections and we counted rotations, we used the idea of a slope distance. So if I find the slope from A to B, I'll use a little m for slope. The slope from A to B is 1 over 3. I know it's a negative 1 over 3, but I'm not going to pay attention to negative right now. So it's a 1 over 3. We can use that as a distance. If I find the slope from B to C, that slope is equal to 3 over 2. And change my BC color to match my green. So BC slope is equal to 3 over 2. And then AC, the slope of AC, is equal to 4 over 1. Again, I know that's a negative 4 over 1. My point is that all of these ratios measure a distance as well. It's not that they equal the distance. The length of AB is not 1/3. The length of BC is not 3/2. The length of AC is not 4 or 4 over 1. But these are their slope ratios. Since none of the slope ratios are the same, that means that none of the sides are the same. I'm going to type that up. If none of the sides are congruent, then we do call this triangle a scalene triangle, meaning that none of the sides are the same. Sorry about that. Then we want to see if it's a right triangle. Well, for a right triangle, we have to have perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. So opposite reciprocals would be 1/3 and then negative 3 over 1. Or in this case, since it was a negative 1/3, we would make this a positive 3 over 1. And there isn't a slope that's positive 3 over 1. A 3/2, 3 over 2 negative reciprocal would be negative 2/3, and there isn't a negative 2/3. The negative 4 over 1 slope would have a slope reciprocal perpendicular slope of 1/4, and that's also not there. So it is not a right triangle. We would say it's a scalene triangle, and it looks like all the angles are less than 100 or less than 90 degrees. So we'd say it's acute, scalene and acute. So you can use the slopes to tell you that because the slope ratios are not the same, the sides are not going to be congruent, because you could use the numbers in the slope to actually find out the lengths of the sides using the Pythagorean theorem. You can also use the slopes to see if any of the slopes make that perpendicular relationship where you have two slopes that are opposite reciprocals. And I gave you the examples in black of what the opposite reciprocals would be, and none of them match. So it's not a right triangle. We can see in the triangle that it's also not obtuse, so it's a scalene acute triangle.